California is famous for its golden beaches, towering redwoods, and bustling cities. But beneath this sunlit beauty lie dark forests where shadows linger and the whispers of the past never fade. From northern redwood groves to the Sierra foothills, California is home to some of the most haunted forests in America. In these forests, travelers have vanished, strange figures have appeared, and ghostly apparitions haunt the trees long after sunset. Tonight, we will journey into 20 of these haunted forests, where the air is thick with mystery, and every rustle may hide something sinister. California's forests have long been the setting for legends, tragedies, and unexplained events. Some are steeped in Native American folklore, where spirits are said to protect sacred sites. Others have histories of disappearances, murders, and mysterious deaths, leaving restless souls behind. Visitors often report strange sounds, unexplainable movements, and sudden chills in areas that seem quiet and untouched. Many have experienced feelings of being watched, fleeting shadowy figures, or whispers that vanish when approached. From the towering redwoods to the remote Sierra forests, California is a land where the natural and the supernatural intertwine. Would you dare to walk alone through one of these haunted forests, knowing some spirits may never let you leave? Black Star Canyon in Orange County is a place where history, nature, and mystery converge. Nestled among rugged hills and dense forest, the canyon has long been the site of stories both chilling and enigmatic. Its trails wind through thick underbrush, past jagged rock formations, and along streams that glisten in the fading light. By day, it is a place of natural beauty, where the sounds of birds and rustling leaves dominate. By night, the atmosphere shifts, and the forest seems to hold secrets that are not easily explained. The canyon's history is marked by violence and tragedy, events that have left an indelible impression on the land itself. From early settler conflicts to unexplained disappearances, the area carries echoes of human struggle that linger long after the events have passed. Some of the most persistent stories speak of travelers vanishing without a trace, their presence only hinted at through disturbed ground or fleeting shadows glimpsed in the trees. Visitors report a feeling of being watched, a subtle pressure in the air that intensifies as darkness falls. As night descends, Black Star Canyon transforms. The forest takes on a different character, shadows stretching long across the paths, and the wind whispering through the trees in ways that almost resemble voices. Those who venture into the canyon after sunset often speak of strange lights flickering in the distance, appearing and disappearing in patterns that defy natural explanation. These lights, ethereal and elusive, have been described as floating orbs or glimmers among the branches, sometimes leading observers deeper into the forest before vanishing entirely. Screams are another recurring feature of the canyon's lore. Some visitors report hearing sharp cries echoing through the darkness, as though a momentary terror has been captured and released into the night. These sounds are never localized, seeming to emanate from nowhere in particular, leaving an unsettling impression that the forest itself holds memories of suffering. In combination with the shadows and lights, these auditory phenomena create an environment charged with tension and curiosity, drawing the attention of those eager to explore the unknown. The terrain itself adds to the sense of mystery. The dense canopy often blocks moonlight, casting long stretches of the canyon into near-total darkness. Every step on the uneven ground brings a heightened awareness, a sense that the forest is more than it seems. Some have felt the sudden drop of temperature in certain areas, the kind of chill that has no clear source yet leaves a lasting impression. Over the years, numerous accounts of ghostly apparitions have emerged. Shadows appear at the edge of vision, lingering just long enough to be seen before dissolving into the night. Some hikers describe figures moving silently between the trees, humanoid shapes that vanish when approached. These sightings are fleeting and subtle, adding to the canyon's reputation as a place where the veil between the known and unknown feels thin. Even the daytime atmosphere can feel charged with lingering energy. Sunlight filtering through the canopy illuminates moss-covered rocks and the winding paths, Yet there is a sense of watchfulness in the forest. The Cañón's past, filled with conflict and tragedy, seems to permeate the environment. Birds take flight at the slightest disturbance. Shadows shift unexpectedly, and the sound of the wind can take on an almost human cadence. These experiences reinforce the notion that Black Star Canyon is not merely a forest, but a space where memory and presence intersect. Visitors often report a sense of isolation that intensifies the experience. The Cañón's remoteness, combined with its dense foliage and uneven terrain, creates a natural separation from the outside world. Even during daylight, sounds are muted and visibility can be limited. This isolation enhances the impact of any unusual occurrence, from flickering lights to sudden footsteps. It is easy to feel as though the forest is alive, watching, and responding to every movement. Explorers of the canyon find that each visit can be different. One night may be filled with silence and shadows, while another may present a cascade of unexplainable phenomena. The unpredictability contributes to its allure, making Black Star Canyon a destination for those drawn to both natural beauty and the mysterious. Those who are sensitive to subtle energies often describe an almost tangible presence in certain areas. A feeling that history has not entirely released its hold on the land. Despite the eerie reputation, the canyon continues to draw visitors, hikers, and paranormal enthusiasts. Its blend of historical significance, rugged wilderness, and unexplained occurrences creates a compelling environment for both exploration and reflection. The stories passed down by locals and documented by curious visitors reinforce the idea that Black Star Canyon is more than a natural landmark. It is a space where the past and present coexist, where the forest carries the weight of memory, and where the unexplained continues to draw those willing to face the unknown. Walking through the canyon, it becomes clear that every shadow, every distant sound, and every flicker of light adds to a narrative that is constantly unfolding. The trees, cliffs, and trails hold the essence of countless lives, some lost, some lingering, and some forever imprinted upon the land. Black Star Canyon is not only a place of haunting beauty but a living testament to the persistence of history, memory, and mystery, a place where visitors are invited to witness the subtle intersections of the natural and the supernatural. As night fully settles, the forest deepens into darkness, and the sense of presence becomes almost palpable. Those who linger on the trails may catch glimpses of shadowed figures, or feel the chill of unseen forces. Yet it is precisely this combination of beauty and unease that defines Black Star Canyon, making it a place that captivates, terrifies, and intrigues in equal measure. The canyon remains a space where the past is never fully silent, and where every step taken is accompanied by the possibility of encountering the unknown. Trippet Ranch rests quietly within the undulating terrain of the Santa Monica Mountains, its trails winding through hills and valleys that seem untouched by time. During the day, the sunlight filters through oak and sycamore trees, casting dappled shadows across the dirt paths. The ranch offers a serene escape for hikers and explorers, yet as the sun dips behind the mountains, the atmosphere shifts, and an unsettling presence seems to awaken. Visitors have long reported strange sensations while traversing the ranch. Cold drafts appear suddenly, moving along the trails and up the hillsides without any logical source. These chills are more than a simple breeze, often brushing against the skin and leaving a lasting sense of unease. Hikers speak of the feeling of being watched, as though unseen eyes track every movement from the shadows. Whispers echo faintly among the trees, carrying over the hills like fragments of forgotten conversations. They are seldom loud, but persistent enough to catch the attention of those walking alone. The sound fades and returns unpredictably, creating an auditory presence that feels alive yet elusive. Shadow figures have been reported frequently along the trails and in the open fields. Visitors describe glimpses of dark shapes moving between trees or standing silently at the edge of the hills. These figures vanish when approached, leaving only the impression that something had been present, watching, and then retreating. The fleeting appearances are often enough to make the heart race and the imagination wander. The ranch itself is steeped in a history that contributes to its mysterious aura. Once a working ranch, the area has seen generations of caretakers, ranchers, and explorers. Some locals claim that tragic events in the past have left residual energy, a lingering presence that continues to interact with those who enter the area. This sense of history interwoven with the landscape creates an environment where past and present seem to coexist. Paths that appear familiar in daylight can feel entirely different at dusk. Trails that wind gently during the afternoon can seem endless, stretching into darkness. Where shadows gather unnaturally. Rocks and trees appear to shift, creating optical illusions that add to the sense of disorientation. Travelers often report losing their bearings, feeling as though the ranch itself is guiding or diverting their steps. Some hikers describe hearing footsteps where no one else is present. The sounds are deliberate and soft, echoing through canyons and along ridges. Occasionally, the footsteps seem to follow or circle the visitor, disappearing only when they attempt to pinpoint their source. In certain areas, animals react unusually to the environment. Birds fall silent as hikers pass. And even the wind seems to carry a weight that slows movement and draws attention to the stillness around. These subtle changes in natural behavior reinforce the feeling that Trippett Ranch is more than a simple wilderness. That it holds a consciousness or awareness beyond human understanding. Visitors have recounted moments of intense emotional sensation, an inexplicable tension that tightens with every step. The ranch seems to amplify awareness, causing the mind to notice small details and movements that might otherwise be ignored. Shadows stretching from trees, the rustle of leaves, and the movement of clouds across the hills all contribute to an atmosphere charged with anticipation and mystery. The combination of shadow figures, whispers, and sudden cold drafts creates an immersive experience that lingers long after leaving the trails. Hikers often describe a sense of having entered a world parallel to their own, where time and space feel altered, and the boundary between the living and the unseen becomes blurred. Each encounter, whether a brief shadow or a passing chill, leaves an imprint, compelling visitors to return or to share their experiences with others. Trippett Ranch also features wide open spaces where the horizon stretches endlessly. Yet even in these areas, the feeling of being observed persists. The isolation of these expanses amplifies the impact of every sight and sound. And the mind becomes acutely sensitive to the subtle anomalies of the environment. Every breeze, every shift in light, and every distant noise carries a weight. A suggestion that the ranch is alive with unseen presence. Many who visit the ranch alone report the most intense experiences during early morning or late evening hours. The interplay of low light, long shadows, and natural fog can make the trails seem unfamiliar, as if the landscape has subtly shifted overnight. It is during these moments that visitors often encounter the most pronounced phenomena, including fleeting figures, unexplained whispers, and sensations of being followed. Despite its unsettling aspects, Trippett Ranch draws explorers who are captivated by both its natural beauty and its mysterious reputation. The ranch offers a blend of scenic trails, historical significance, and paranormal intrigue, making it a destination where curiosity and courage are equally tested. Each visitor becomes part of an ongoing narrative, witnessing the subtle interactions of history, nature, and the unexplained. Walking through the ranch, it is impossible to ignore the feeling that the past is present. The shadow figures, the whispers, and the sudden chills are reminders that Trippett Ranch exists on the edge of perception. A place where ordinary experience intersects with the extraordinary. For those who venture among its hills and trails, the ranch provides an unforgettable encounter. A journey into an environment where mystery lingers and the unseen is always nearby. Trippett Ranch remains a space where the natural and the supernatural coexist. Its trails invite exploration, yet each step carries the potential for discovery beyond the ordinary. The combination of historical echoes, environmental anomalies, and spectral activity creates a setting that is both compelling and disquieting. Visitors leave with more than photographs and memories, they carry the impression of a place alive with stories, shadows, and the whispers of the past. For those who return, the ranch offers continued revelation. Every visit can bring new experiences, new shapes in the shadows, and new sounds that challenge the boundaries of perception. The Santa Monica Mountains provide a scenic backdrop, yet within this beauty lies a realm that is intangible and mysterious. Trippet Ranch is a reminder that even in familiar landscapes, the unknown waits just beyond the trail, ready to be sensed, witnessed, and remembered. Mount Tamalpais rises above Marin County, its rugged trails and dense forests offering breathtaking views of the Bay Area below. By day, hikers enjoy sweeping vistas, towering redwoods, and the crisp scent of pine and damp earth. Yet as dusk settles and mist rolls across the mountainside, the atmosphere changes. Shadows lengthen, and a sense of quiet anticipation lingers. Those who wander the trails after dark speak of experiences that defy explanation, of footsteps echoing along paths where no one else is present, and of misty figures glimpsed between the trees. The park's network of trails winds through thick groves, open ridges, and hidden valleys. Some visitors report hearing the crunch of leaves beneath unseen feet, following them for moments before fading into silence. The sounds are not always subtle, at times they are startlingly clear, sharp against the stillness of the night. In these moments, the forest seems alive in ways beyond the natural, as though the spirits of past hikers and animals linger, moving with the rhythm of the land itself. Among the redwoods, faint figures have been observed, gliding effortlessly between trunks and branches. They are often described as ethereal, partially translucent, and fleeting, vanishing when approached. Some say these figures are echoes of those who explored the mountain long ago, hikers who lost their way or who simply remained tied to the trails they once loved. Others claim the presence of spectral animals, glimpses of deer or foxes appearing in unusual places, their forms shimmering like mist in the morning light. Their forms vanishing when approached, leaving behind an unsettling sense of dread and foreboding. The experiences are not threatening, but they carry an undeniable sense of being watched, as if the forest itself is aware of every movement. Fog is a frequent visitor to Mount Tamalpais, especially in the late evening. It drifts through the valleys and creeps along ridgelines, softening shapes and muffling sound. Visitors have reported seeing outlines of figures emerging from the fog, pausing as if observing, before dissolving into nothingness. The combination of dim light, dense foliage, and drifting mist creates an environment where imagination and reality intersect, making every step along the trail a journey into the unknown. Certain areas of the park are particularly known for their spectral activity. Steep switchbacks and secluded overlooks are places where the feeling of presence intensifies. Hikers speak of sudden chills, of the sensation that someone is walking just behind them, yet turning reveals no one there. The whispers of the wind through branches sometimes sound like murmurs, fragments of conversation carried from an invisible source. These experiences are never violent, but they are persistent, leaving an impression of an unseen community that inhabits the park alongside the living. The history of Mount Tamalpais adds depth to these encounters. Indigenous peoples once walked these lands, and early settlers explored its peaks and valleys. The trails have seen generations of hikers, each leaving traces of their presence. Some suggest that the energy of those who have passed continues to echo along the paths, creating a layered reality where past and present coexist. Visitors report that the longer they linger, the more tangible these impressions become, and even the sounds of the forest bird calls, the rustle of leaves, the distant rush of streams take on a subtly different, more spectral quality. Many who have experienced Mount Tamalpais after dark describe a profound sense of connection to the natural and supernatural worlds. Misty figures may appear along the trail, only to vanish moments later, leaving behind a lingering awareness of something unseen. Shadowy forms among the trees seem to watch quietly, while the faint echo of footsteps or animal movement reminds visitors that they are not truly alone. The park becomes a liminal space, a place suspended between ordinary experience and the mysteries that dwell just beyond perception. In addition to visual phenomena, sensory experiences often accompany the hauntings. The air may grow unexpectedly cold along certain stretches of trail, and subtle scents, like damp earth or pine resin, seem intensified. Some visitors feel a gentle brush, as if someone or something has passed close by, only to discover no one is present. These occurrences heighten the sense of anticipation, creating an atmosphere that is immersive and unforgettable, compelling hikers to tread lightly and respect the presence of unseen observers. As night deepens, the forest transforms further. The rustling of leaves becomes amplified, and distant animal calls carry across valleys with an eerie clarity. The experience is both humbling and exhilarating, an encounter with the unknown framed by the majesty of the mountain. Where curiosity, fear, and wonder converge, where the forest's history and its spectral inhabitants intertwine. Those who leave Mount Tamalpais carry with them a sense of having brushed against something beyond ordinary perception. The park is alive with memory and presence, a living testament to the spirits of hikers and animals that continue to wander its trails. The mist-laden peaks, the quiet hollows, and the shadowy ridges serve as a reminder that even in the modern world, certain places remain steeped in mystery. Mount Tamalpais State Park is not only a destination for the living, but a sanctuary for echoes of the past, offering visitors a rare opportunity to witness the enduring presence of those who continue to roam among its trees and trails. Los Padres National Forest stretches across Ventura County with dense trees, winding trails, and steep ridges that have long captivated hikers and nature enthusiasts. By day, the forest is alive with the rustling of leaves, the songs of birds, and the occasional glimpse of deer or other wildlife moving through the undergrowth. Yet, as night falls and the sun dips below the horizon, the forest transforms into a place of mystery and unease, a landscape that has inspired countless stories of the unexplained. Travelers who venture into the more remote areas of the forest often report feeling a presence that is impossible to see but impossible to ignore. The trails become narrow and shadowed, and the towering pines seem to close in, muffling sounds and creating a sense of isolation. In these quiet spaces, strange lights have been observed, flickering between the trees, moving erratically, and vanishing without a trace. Some describe them as orbs, others as fleeting glows that seem almost alive, guiding or perhaps warning those who encounter them. Shadow figures are another common experience. Hikers recount glimpses of humanoid shapes moving silently between the trunks. Figures that vanish when looked at directly. The shadows are often seen at the periphery of vision, disappearing if attention is drawn to them, leaving behind a lingering sense of being watched. The sensation can be subtle at first, a feeling of unease or the prickling of skin. But it intensifies as footsteps echo too loudly on the forest floor, and branches creak overhead without wind. Some visitors have reported feeling invisible hands brushing past them or a sudden tug on clothing when no one is nearby. These experiences are fleeting, yet they leave a lasting impression, reinforcing the notion that the forest holds secrets beyond the ordinary. Even in daylight, some hikers describe an almost electric tension in the air, a quiet awareness that they are not alone. The stories of missing hikers only add to the forest's ominous reputation. While the terrain is rugged and easy to become disoriented in, accounts of people vanishing without trace have circulated for decades. In some cases, search parties find no evidence of struggle, no footprints, and no clear paths leading away from the area. These disappearances are often linked to the same remote zones where strange lights and shadowy figures are reported, suggesting that the forest has long been a place where the boundary between reality and the unknown is thin. The forest is also home to hidden creeks, rocky outcrops, and secluded clearings, where the atmosphere changes perceptibly. Travelers describe sudden drops in temperature as they enter these spaces, accompanied by a feeling of being watched. The sounds of nature continue, yet they take on a different quality. More hollow and echoing, as if the forest itself is listening. In these moments, even the most seasoned hikers feel a shiver of unease. A reminder that Los Padres is a place where caution and respect are warranted. Despite the unsettling phenomena, the forest retains a stark and haunting beauty. Shadows deepen in the afternoon, stretching across the trails and blending with the underbrush. The interplay of light and darkness creates an environment that feels alive, where every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig could be attributed to the forest's natural rhythm or something far less ordinary. Visitors who have spent time in the forest often describe a duality in their experiences. The same trails that inspire awe with panoramic vistas and serene landscapes also evoke a deep, instinctive wariness. It is a place where the mind is acutely aware of sound and movement, where the imagination readily fills gaps in perception. Those who encounter unexplained lights, shadows, or sensations of touch report a mixture of fear and fascination. A compelling pull to understand what lies beyond the visible. The forest's haunted reputation is amplified by its history and isolation. Old maps and local accounts speak of areas that were once used for logging, mining, or homesteading. And some believe that the spirits of those who labored or perished in these areas still linger. The dense foliage and rugged terrain make the forest a natural barrier, preserving the past and allowing stories to endure. Each clearing, ridge, and shadowed path holds the potential for an encounter, a brush with the unknown that leaves a permanent imprint on those who witness it. Night in Los Padres National Forest is particularly evocative. The moonlight filtering through the trees casts elongated, shifting shadows that seem almost sentient. Sounds of wildlife are muted, and a profound stillness settles over the trails. In this quiet, the reported phenomena become more pronounced. Lights may flicker between trees, footsteps echo without source, and shadowy figures move in ways that defy explanation. The sensation of being watched grows, accompanied by fleeting glimpses of movement that vanish before they can be fully comprehended. For those who are drawn to the forest after dark, every experience is heightened. The isolation amplifies each sound and shadow, creating an immersive environment where the imagination and reality blur. Even those who do not see lights or figures often feel a subtle tension. A reminder that the forest is alive in ways that are not entirely understood. Los Padres National Forest remains a place of wonder and caution. Its natural beauty, winding trails, and serene vistas are undeniable. Yet it holds mysteries that challenge the perception of those who enter. Shadow figures, unexplained lights, sudden chills, and the feeling of unseen hands all contribute to the forest's reputation as a place where the ordinary and the unknown coexist. The stories endure, passed from one generation to the next, ensuring that the forest's haunted legacy continues to intrigue and captivate all who venture into its depths. Those who walk its trails are reminded that nature can be both breathtaking and unsettling. The forest's legends serve as a reminder that even in the modern world, there are places where the past lingers, where spirits and memories remain tied to the land. Los Padres National Forest is more than a collection of trees and trails. It is a living, breathing landscape of mystery, where every rustle of leaves and shifting shadow carries the potential for an encounter that cannot easily be explained. The Santa Cruz Redwoods in Santa Cruz County are a place of towering trees, misty trails. By day, sunlight filters through the dense canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Birds sing from hidden branches, and the scent of damp earth and pine fills the air. Yet as evening falls, the forest transforms, and those who walk its paths often speak of a presence that lingers just beyond sight. The redwoods themselves seem ancient and knowing, their massive trunks rising like sentinels into the sky. Visitors report that the forest paths, which appear welcoming in daylight, take on a different character as shadows lengthen. The air grows cooler, the silence heavier, and the faintest sounds can seem magnified. Footsteps echo oddly among the trees, and the rustle of leaves can suggest movement where there is none. It is within this atmosphere that tales of ghostly children have emerged, stories passed down through locals and recounted by those brave enough to explore the woods at night. Many who venture into the redwoods after dark describe the sensation of being watched. A fleeting glimpse between trees, a shadow that moves against the wind, or a sudden chill can create a sense of unease. Some have reported hearing laughter, soft and distant, drifting along the trails. There is a cadence, a human quality to it that seems impossible to place, as if echoing from another time. Others speak of faint cries, delicate and sorrowful, rising from the underbrush. These sounds are unpredictable, appearing and disappearing without pattern, leaving listeners questioning whether they imagined them or truly heard something beyond the natural world. The combination of laughter and cries has given the forest an eerie, poignant character, suggesting the presence of spirits whose stories remain untold. The sightings of ghostly children are often fleeting, glimpsed at the periphery of vision. A small figure standing among the trees, a silhouette that vanishes when approached, or the hint of movement between the trunks are all reported experiences. Witnesses describe an almost magnetic quality to these apparitions, a pull that draws attention yet prevents close observation. It is as though the forest itself guards these spirits, allowing only partial glimpses into a world that exists alongside our own. Some visitors note that these phenomena are concentrated along particular trails, especially where the forest is thickest and the paths are narrow. Here, the silence is profound, broken only by the occasional snap of a branch underfoot or the distant call of an owl. Shadows seem to gather and shift in unexpected ways, creating the impression of movement even when the trail is empty. The forest floor, covered in moss and fallen leaves, muffles footsteps, making it easier for the imagination to fill in what the eyes cannot see. During certain times of the year, the redwoods are shrouded in mist, and the forest takes on a dreamlike quality. Shapes emerge from the fog and dissolve again, and the soft diffusion of light adds to the sense that the boundary between the physical world and the realm of spirits has grown thin. Those who are attuned to subtle energies report an increased feeling of being accompanied, a sense that the ghostly children are aware of their presence. Even in daylight, the forest carries a weight of memory. The trees have stood for centuries, witnessing generations of human activity, and the echoes of the past linger. Hikers and nature enthusiasts describe moments when the woods fall silent in an almost unnatural way. A pause in the rhythm of life that suggests attentiveness from something unseen. Shadows bend and shift in ways that feel deliberate, and distant laughter or murmurs seem to follow the trail without source. Exploring the Santa Cruz redwoods is not only an encounter with nature, but also a journey into stories that the land itself holds. The ghostly children and their mysterious appearances remind visitors that the forest is more than a collection of trees and trails. It is a repository of memory, emotion, and history, a place where the boundaries of the living and the spectral intertwine. Every rustle of leaves, every flicker of shadow, every whispered sound contributes to a narrative that is both beautiful and unsettling. Visitors often leave the forest with a heightened awareness of their surroundings, carrying with them the sensation of being observed, the echo of laughter, or the glimpse of a figure among the trees. The Santa Cruz redwoods are a reminder that some places hold stories that cannot be fully explained, where the natural world and the supernatural exist side by side. Those who walk its paths learn to move with care, to listen, and to recognize that the forest is alive, not only with the sounds of birds and wind, but also with the quiet, enduring presence of spirits who have never truly left. As dusk falls completely and the forest darkens, the atmosphere deepens into an almost tangible presence. Mist clings to the ground, and shadows stretch long across the trails. The laughter and cries, the fleeting silhouettes, and the sensation of unseen eyes watching all intensify. The Santa Cruz redwoods are a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet. Where visitors are reminded that beneath the beauty of towering trees and serene landscapes lies a world alive with mystery, memory, and the gentle, lingering presence of ghostly children. A world that whispers secrets to those who dare to listen. The Big Sur forests of Monterey County stretch endlessly along the rugged California coastline, where towering redwoods and dense pines form a canopy that filters sunlight into golden beams during the day. Trails wind through the undergrowth, following the natural curves of hills and valleys, and the air carries the rich scent of earth and salt from the nearby Pacific Ocean. By daylight, the forest feels serene and majestic, yet as the sun sinks below the horizon, an otherworldly atmosphere emerges, transforming the familiar landscape into a place that feels alive with unseen presence. By daylight, the forest feels serene and majestic, yet as the sun sinks below the horizon, an otherworldly atmosphere emerges, transforming the familiar landscape into a place that feels alive with unseen presence. Transforming the familiar landscape into a place that feels alive with unseen presence. The forest has long been associated with tales of shipwrecked spirits from the cliffs above. Mariners lost to the treacherous water seem to linger in the mist that rolls down from the hills, their presence felt more than seen. Visitors recount glimpses of figures standing silently near the edges of trails, their forms fading into the shadows when approached. Some describe the sensation of being watched, a feeling that grows with every step deeper into the woods. Floating lights are a common phenomenon reported by those who venture into the forest at night. These lights drift between trees or hover above the ground, glowing faintly like lanterns without a source. They move in ways that defy natural explanation, rising and falling, disappearing and reappearing without warning. For those following the trails, the lights can be captivating and unsettling at the same time, drawing the eye and stirring the imagination. Whispers carried by the wind add to the forest's mysterious presence. Voices are rarely clear, often just fragments of speech or laughter, echoing among the trees in a way that feels both near and distant. The sound seems to respond to movement, appearing as if the forest itself is observing and interacting with visitors. Hikers report that the whispers intensify in the stillness of twilight, merging with the rustle of leaves and distant waves to create an immersive, almost hypnotic soundscape. Shadowy figures are seen moving silently through the undergrowth or standing in open clearings. They appear and vanish without warning, leaving only a lingering sense of unease. These forms often resemble travelers who have wandered too far, their presence a reminder of the forest's history and the many who have passed through its depths. Some have described the figures as partially transparent, blending into the scenery while retaining enough human shape to suggest familiarity. Paths in the Big Sur forests can change perception as night falls. Trails that seem simple by day stretch into complex networks of shadows and shapes at night. Landmarks can appear distorted in the dim light. Rocks, roots, and trees create patterns that shift with each step, causing travelers to question what is real and what is imagined. This disorientation adds to the immersive nature of the forest, reinforcing the idea that the area exists partially outside of normal perception. Some visitors have reported sudden cold drafts that seem to pass through them, coming from no identifiable source. These chills are fleeting but intense, heightening awareness and making each sound and movement more pronounced. Often, the chills coincide with sightings of figures or lights, suggesting a connection between the environmental anomalies and the lingering spirits said to inhabit the forest. The coastline itself contributes to the haunting atmosphere. Waves crash against cliffs far below, sending mist and foam into the air. And the sound carries into the forest like distant percussion. The combination of ocean, wind, and forest creates an immersive sensory environment. where the line between natural and supernatural becomes blurred. Visitors often feel as though the cliffs and trees are guardians of the spirits, maintaining a connection between land, sea, and the unseen. Stories of travelers lost within the forest reinforce the sense of mystery. Some have ventured off the trails and reported becoming disoriented, feeling time stretch and compress, as though the forest itself reshapes reality. Those who find their way back often speak of glimpsing fleeting figures in the distance or witnessing lights that vanish the moment they attempt to approach. These experiences contribute to the reputation of Big Sur as a place where the ordinary laws of perception do not always apply. The forest's beauty is intertwined with its eerie qualities. Sunlight filtering through the redwoods by day contrasts sharply with the deep shadows of night, creating a duality that is both inviting and intimidating. Visitors often describe a tension between the serenity of the natural environment and the subtle presence of spirits and unexplained phenomena. It is a place where awe and apprehension coexist, making each journey into the woods a deeply personal experience. Footsteps echo unexpectedly in empty clearings, and objects like fallen branches or leaves appear disturbed without cause. Some hikers report hearing the faint splash of water in hidden streams, accompanied by shadows that do not belong to any living creature. Each sound and movement reinforces the impression that the forest is alive in ways that extend beyond the natural world, a space shared by both the living and the spirits that linger. The history of Big Sur adds layers to its enigmatic reputation. Shipwrecks along the coast, travelers lost in the dense woods, and the passage of generations of humans and wildlife have left traces that some interpret as spiritual residue. Visitors feel the weight of this history, sensing that the forest remembers and reacts, holding memories that are invisible yet present. Even in the open areas along the cliffs, the feeling of unseen presence persists. Hikers describe the horizon as simultaneously vast and confining, with the ocean reflecting light in ways that make it difficult to distinguish land from water. Living from spectral, floating lights, shadowy figures, and sudden chills remain constant companions, blending seamlessly with the natural beauty and creating an atmosphere that is both breathtaking and unnerving. Explorers of the Big Sur forests leave with more than memories of majestic landscapes. They carry impressions of encounters with the inexplicable, sensations that linger long after leaving the trails. The combination of natural beauty, historical resonance, and paranormal activity makes Big Sur a place where reality and legend intersect. A forest alive with stories, spirits, and the enduring mystery of the unseen. For those who return, each visit offers new experiences. Lights may appear in different places, figures may take new forms, and the whispers may change tone. The forest is dynamic, a living entity shaped by both the land and the spirits that inhabit it. Big Sur continues to captivate and unsettle, reminding visitors that some mysteries are meant to be felt rather than solved, and that the forest will always hold secrets waiting to be discovered. The forest of Nisene Mark stretches across Santa Cruz with dense groves of redwoods, ferns, and towering pines. By day, sunlight filters through the thick canopy, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor and drawing hikers into winding trails that twist among moss-covered trunks. Yet as shadows deepen and evening approaches, the forest seems to shift, taking on a presence that is both haunting and captivating. Many who venture here after dark speak of sensations that cannot be explained, of footsteps echoing along empty paths, and whispers carried by the wind. This land holds a history that lingers. Long before the trails were mapped, lumber workers and travelers passed through these woods, leaving traces of their lives behind. It is said that some of these spirits remain, moving silently among the redwoods, tied to the land where they once toiled or wandered. Visitors describe the feeling of being watched, a subtle awareness that unseen eyes follow their every step. The atmosphere thickens as one ventures deeper, with the forest itself seeming to close in, enveloping hikers in a world where past and present converge. Along certain trails, phantom footsteps have been reported, always following, always just beyond sight. Those who pause often hear them stop as well, leaving only the echo of movement among the trees. The sounds are not always predictable, at times they are soft and distant, at others startlingly close. The temperature can drop suddenly, a chill sweeping across the skin even on the warmest days. Leaves rustle with no breeze, and shadows lengthen in ways that seem to defy the sun. These experiences are subtle yet persistent, leaving a lingering impression of something beyond the ordinary. Among the massive redwoods, figures have been glimpsed moving through the undergrowth. They appear partially obscured by mist or foliage, sometimes only as silhouettes against the fading light. Visitors often catch a fleeting glimpse. And when approached, the figures vanish, leaving an eerie stillness. Some suggest these are the echoes of lumber workers, carrying on with their endless labors among the trees. Others believe they are travelers who never found their way out, remaining tied to the forest trails they once followed. The forest becomes a place suspended between memory and reality, where every turn may reveal the unexpected. The whispers that drift through the trees are often described as fragmented, fragments of conversation or sighs that fade as quickly as they appear. They are never hostile, yet their presence is unmistakable. The natural sounds of the forest birds, rustling leaves, distant creaks blend with these ethereal noises, making it difficult to discern what is natural and what is spectral. Visitors report the feeling of being accompanied, though no one is visible, a presence that is gentle yet undeniable. The forest, in this way, asserts itself as both sanctuary and stage for the unseen. Mist frequently settles in the lower valleys and creeks, adding another layer of mystery to the experience. Trails that appear familiar in daylight can seem transformed under the veil of fog, shadows blending with the trees and obscuring the path ahead. Shapes move in the periphery of vision, only to vanish when directly observed. Many hikers describe a sense of heightened awareness, a tension that is not fear but rather a profound recognition of the forest as a living, breathing entity with a history etched into every root and branch. The experience is intensified near the old lumber routes and abandoned campsites. Rusted tools and remnants of past activity hint at the forest's industrious past, yet the energy here feels otherworldly. Sudden drops in temperature, unexplained breezes, and the sensation of light touches along the skin are commonly reported. These occurrences are fleeting yet potent, imprinting the memory of the forest as a place where time and life intertwine with spirits of another age. Every step becomes an encounter, a reminder that the forest holds stories beyond those written in history books. As night descends, the forest takes on a hushed stillness. The canopy above muffles sound, and the dim light casts shapes that resemble wandering figures. Eyes catch movement where none should exist. And the sound of a distant creek seems amplified, carrying with it whispers from the past. The sense of being watched grows more intense. And the interplay between natural and supernatural becomes ever more pronounced. The trails of Nisene marks become a theater for these spectral encounters. A place where curiosity leads into the unknown and every path invites both wonder and unease. Those who leave the forest of Nisene marks often carry a lingering impression. A sense of having walked among histories and spirits that refuse to be forgotten. The forest is alive not only with trees and wildlife but with memories, energy, and specters that continue to roam. It offers a unique encounter for those willing to listen, observe, and move through its trails with both respect and awareness. Nisene Mark stands as a testament to the enduring presence of the past. A place where every visit can reveal the hidden life of the forest. And the spirits who linger silently among the redwoods. Del Dios Forest stretches across San Diego County, a secluded expanse of dense trees, winding trails, and steep hillsides that seem to disappear into the distance. By day, it is a serene place, alive with birdsong, the rustle of leaves, and shafts of sunlight breaking through the canopy. Yet, as evening descends, a heavy fog often rolls in, blanketing the trails and transforming the forest into a landscape of mystery and quiet unease. Hikers who venture into the more remote areas speak of an almost palpable presence that cannot be seen but can be felt. The fog softens sounds, making footsteps and distant calls echo strangely, and it can obscure the path ahead, creating an unsettling sense of disorientation. In these moments, many report the eerie sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes follow every movement, tracking their progress through the mist. Shadowy figures are among the most common experiences described. Glimpsed at the edges of vision, they move silently between the trees, vanishing when directly approached. Some appear humanoid, while others are more abstract, forms that fade and shimmer in the fog. These apparitions are rarely threatening, yet their presence elicits a deep, instinctive tension, leaving hikers both captivated and wary. The forest's atmosphere is heightened by sudden chills that descend even on warm nights. Temperatures can drop inexplicably, accompanied by a sense of isolation that intensifies with each step along narrow trails. Some visitors feel a brush of air or a fleeting touch, fleeting sensations that vanish before they can be fully identified, yet they linger in memory long after leaving the forest. Lost souls are said to wander the trails, remnants of those who became disoriented or never returned from these secluded woods. Local stories tell of people who vanished, leaving only traces behind, footprints that lead to nowhere or items abandoned on the trail. In these areas, hikers often describe an almost electric tension in the air, a subtle signal that they are moving through a space layered with history and mystery. Mist rises in the early morning, draping the forest in a silvery veil that makes the trails seem endless. Trees twist and arch over paths, their branches forming shapes that can appear alive in dim light. Even in daylight, the forest conveys a quiet intensity, a reminder that it is a place where nature and the unexplained intersect. Many report hearing soft noises that have no clear source. Leaves may rustle when there is no wind, and distant footsteps echo over empty ground. And faint whispers seem to drift between the trees. In some cases, voices are described as indistinct, almost as if carried from another time, adding a layer of historical mystery to the forest's reputation. The fog, which is so common in the forest, plays a central role in these experiences. A fallen branch may look like a crouching figure, or a shadow may stretch and move independently of any natural source. This interplay of perception and reality has inspired countless stories, as hikers and locals alike recount experiences that defy simple explanation. Despite the unsettling phenomena, the forest maintains a powerful allure. Trails wind past steep inclines and rocky outcrops, opening to panoramic views. The isolation allows for quiet reflection, but also leaves visitors acutely aware of their vulnerability. It is this balance of beauty and mystery that draws people. Some seeking adventure, others drawn by the legends and the forest's haunted reputation. Those who spend time in Del Dios forest often describe a duality in their experience. The forest can be peaceful, serene, and inspiring, yet within moments, it can evoke tension and unease. The fog thickens, shadows shift, and the feeling of being watched becomes almost tangible. Even those who do not encounter lights or figures report a subtle change in atmosphere, a heightened awareness that the forest is alive in ways that are not entirely understood. Nightfall deepens the forest's mystique. The fog thickens further, swallowing paths and diffusing moonlight into a soft, eerie glow. Sounds are amplified in the quiet darkness, each snap of a twig or rustle of leaves carrying more weight than during the day. Shadowy forms are more pronounced, and the sensation of being followed grows stronger. Visitors report glimpsing figures moving in the distance, always just beyond the reach of clarity, and disappearing when approached. Visitors report glimpsing figures moving in the distance, always just beyond the reach of clarity, and disappearing when approached. Local legends speak of the forest as a place where the line between the living and the unseen blurs. Some believe the spirits of lost travelers remain, wandering the trails, while others think the forest itself is a sentient presence, holding memories and impressions of the past. The stories endure, passed down through generations, keeping the forest alive in local consciousness and inviting curiosity and caution from those who enter its depths. Del Dios Forest remains a place of wonder and trepidation. Its dense trees, rolling fog, and remote trails create an immersive experience that is at once beautiful and unnerving. Shadowy figures, sudden chills, and the feeling of being followed contribute to the forest's reputation as a site where the ordinary and the unknown coexist. Those who venture into this secluded wilderness are reminded that even in modern times, there are places where mystery lingers, and where the past and unseen forces seem to watch over the present. Walking through Del Dios Forest is an experience of contrasts. Each trail offers the chance for breathtaking scenery and quiet reflection, yet also invites encounters with the inexplicable. The forest teaches respect for its power, its history, and its mysteries, leaving visitors with a profound awareness that they are part of a landscape where nature and the unknown coexist in a delicate, haunting balance. The Mount Low Railway trails in Pasadena wind through forested canyons and rugged hillsides, a place where history and mystery seem to converge. By day, the trails are alive with hikers and nature enthusiasts, the sunlight filtering through oak and pine, casting dancing patterns across the worn paths. Birds call from the treetops, and the distant hum of the city feels miles away. Yet as night approaches, the landscape transforms, and the echoes of the past begin to whisper through the trees. These trails once supported a railway that carried passengers along the steep slopes of the San Gabriel Mountains. The railway brought excitement, adventure, and innovation, but it also bore witness to accidents, disappearances, and untimely deaths. It is these echoes of human history that some believe have never left, lingering among the remains of old foundations and trestles. Hikers after dusk speak of the forest feeling alive with unseen observers, a presence that follows quietly among the pines. Visitors often report strange apparitions along the trails. A figure glimpsed between the trees, a shadow moving against the dimming light. Or the sense of someone standing nearby when no one is there are common experiences. Some describe seeing travelers from the past, dressed in early 20th century attire, walking along the paths as though retracing journeys from a bygone era. The sounds of the railway also seem to persist in unusual ways. Hikers have reported hearing mechanical noises where no machinery exists. The rhythmic clatter of wheels on tracks, the faint hiss of steam, and the distant whistle of a train all appear without explanation. These sounds are often disorienting, emerging from the stillness of the forest and vanishing just as suddenly, leaving a haunting silence in their wake. The trails themselves are narrow and winding, bordered by dense undergrowth and rocky outcrops. At night, the forest becomes a place of shifting shadows and uncertain shapes. A sudden rustle of leaves can suggest movement that is not there. And a shadow cast by moonlight may seem to move independently of its source. These subtle disturbances create an atmosphere that is both eerie and compelling, drawing visitors further into the history that lingers in every corner of the trails. Certain areas of the Mount Low Railway trails have a reputation for being particularly active. Old trestles, remnants of tunnels, and abandoned station sites are common points of reported sightings and strange sounds. Visitors often describe a sense of being accompanied, as if the spirits of railway workers and travelers continue to traverse the paths they once knew so well. Footsteps echo where the trail is empty, and a sudden chill in the air can give the sensation of being watched. The interplay of natural beauty and spectral presence defines the Mount Low experience. Towering trees, moss-covered rocks, and sweeping views of the mountains create a serene environment. But the subtle hints of the past give it an undercurrent of tension. The forest feels timeless, as if it holds both the living and the departed within its folds. And every step along the trail is a walk through history and memory. Even during the day, the forest can feel unusually quiet. A pause in the wind, an absence of birdsong. Or a sudden stillness can provoke the imagination to fill in what the senses do not fully perceive. Visitors often remark on the sensation of being followed by something unseen, a gentle pressure of awareness that is not easily explained. Shadows appear and vanish in ways that seem deliberate. And faint sounds can ripple through the air with no clear origin. Exploring the Mount Low railway trails is more than a physical journey. It is an immersion into a landscape shaped by human endeavor and tragedy, where the remnants of railway construction coexist with the natural world. The spectral presence that haunts these paths serves as a reminder of the lives once intertwined with this terrain, of travelers and workers whose stories remain partially visible through the veil of time. By night, the forest deepens into a place of heightened mystery. Moonlight filters through the branches, illuminating patches of the trail while leaving others in shadow. Apparitions may appear at the edge of vision, footsteps echo along abandoned platforms. And the faintest mechanical sound suggests that the railway never truly ceased to exist. For those who linger, the experience is both unsettling and captivating, an intimate encounter with a past that continues to inhabit the present. The Mount Low railway trails offer a unique blend of history, nature, and the unexplained. Visitors are reminded to tread carefully, to listen closely, and to respect the forest as a place where the echoes of the past are never fully silent. Each step along the trail is a journey into a world where human activity, natural beauty, and lingering spirits converge, creating an atmosphere that is haunting, immersive, and unforgettable. The Devil's Punch Bowl Natural Area in Los Angeles County stretches across rugged terrain where jagged rock formations rise sharply from the desert floor. The land forms natural amphitheaters, deep crevices, and steep ridges that cast long shadows at sunrise and sunset, creating an atmosphere that feels both majestic and foreboding. Visitors navigating the trails can sense the unique energy of the area, a place shaped by geological forces and steeped in stories of human presence long past. The area has a long history tied to mining and early settlers who ventured into the harsh landscape in search of fortune. Some say the land still remembers those who perished here, their spirits lingering among the rocks and cliffs. Hikers have reported glimpses of shadowy figures moving along the ridges, often disappearing when approached. These forms seem human yet insubstantial, as if the boundary between the living and the unseen is thin in this place. Unexplained sounds are a common experience in the Punch Bowl. Screams, murmurs, and distant voices seem to echo from the rocks themselves, carrying across the amphitheater in a way that is both unsettling and captivating. The desert wind amplifies these sounds, turning ordinary echoes into something that feels alive, like the land is telling stories from centuries past. Some visitors describe sudden drops in temperature as they walk through the natural corridors. Cold drafts rise from the crevices, brushing against the skin without warning, making the air feel heavy and charged with unseen presence. These chills often accompany sightings of lights or shadows, creating a sense that the environment responds to those who enter it. The Devil's Punch Bowl is particularly striking at dusk. The sun casts long, deep shadows across the rocky formations, and the colors of the rocks shift from golden to deep reds and purples. This transition enhances the feeling of otherworldliness, turning the familiar desert landscape into a place of mystery. Figures glimpsed in the rock seem to merge with the natural formations, appearing and vanishing like whispers of the past. Floating orbs of light are sometimes reported in the evenings. These lights drift along the cliffs or appear above the desert floor, moving in ways that defy explanation. Some suggest they are spirits of miners who never left, wandering the area in search of something lost. Others see the lights as manifestations of energy trapped within the unique geological formations, a reminder of the long history and human activity in the region. The rocks themselves hold a presence that is difficult to describe. Trails that appear simple by day can transform at night, with shadows stretching and bending in ways that disorient even experienced hikers. The natural amphitheaters carry sound strangely, making distant noises seem close. And close sounds echo as if multiplied. Each step through the punch bowl can feel like entering a space where the ordinary rules of perception are altered. Stories of lost travelers add to the sense of danger and mystery. Some have ventured off the marked trails and returned disoriented, feeling as though time and space had shifted around them. Others speak of glimpsing figures standing silently on cliff edges, disappearing when anyone looks directly. These experiences contribute to the legend of the area, reinforcing its reputation as a place where the past and present coexist. The history of mining and settlement in the Punch Bowl leaves its mark in both physical and intangible ways. Abandoned equipment, old paths, and the remnants of past camps tell a story of human ambition and struggle. Many visitors feel that these traces of the past are more than remnants, as if they attract energy and awareness from those who once labored and perished here. Even during the day, the Devil's Punch Bowl evokes a sense of isolation and awe. The rock formations tower above, creating natural fortresses that both protect and intimidate. Sunlight filtering through narrow gaps in the rocks produces dramatic shadows, highlighting textures and shapes that can appear almost human. This interplay of light and stone contributes to the forest of imagination, where every shadow seems to conceal a presence. As night falls, the experience intensifies. The desert grows quiet, leaving only the sounds of wind and distant wildlife. Shadows deepen, and those visiting the area often feel watched, as though unseen observers are moving along the ridges. Lights and shapes continue to appear, sometimes fleeting, sometimes lingering just long enough to evoke a sense of uncanny familiarity. The Devil's Punch Bowl remains a place of natural beauty intertwined with mystery. Its cliffs, crevices, and amphitheaters serve as both a reminder of geological forces and a backdrop for the stories that have grown around human presence. Ghostly figures, unexplained sounds, and chilling drafts make it a destination where curiosity and caution coexist. Visitors leave with more than memories of the landscape, they carry impressions of encounters that defy explanation and sensations that linger long after they have departed. For those who return, the Punch Bowl offers new experiences with every visit. Each shadow, each whisper, each light appears in a different place, reminding travelers that the area is dynamic and unpredictable. The interplay of history, nature, and unexplained phenomena ensures that the beauty of the land is inseparable from the lingering mystery of the unseen. Humboldt Redwood State Park stretches across Northern California with towering ancient trees that seem to touch the sky. Sunlight filters through the dense canopy, casting elongated shadows on the forest floor and illuminating the thick carpet of ferns and moss. By day, the park is alive with the sounds of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the gentle flow of creeks. Yet as evening approaches, the atmosphere changes. The towering redwoods seem to close in, and the forest takes on a presence both solemn and haunting. This land carries the weight of history. Long before it became a park, settlers and lumbermen traversed these forests, felling massive trees and leaving traces of their lives behind. Some of these spirits are said to remain, wandering the forest trails and campsites, bound to the places where their lives unfolded. Visitors often report the feeling of being observed, a subtle awareness that unseen eyes follow each step. The forest becomes a realm where the past lingers, where every shadow and sound may be a whisper from another era. Along the winding trails, faint voices are often heard, carried through the trees with no identifiable source. Hikers have reported sudden drops in temperature, chills that pass over the skin as if brushed by an unseen hand. Shadows move at the edge of vision, fleeting shapes among the trees that vanish when looked at directly. The forest holds these mysteries in quiet patience, revealing them only to those who venture deep enough to notice. At certain old logging sites, ghostly lights have been seen hovering in the night, flickering between the trees like distant lanterns. Some believe these are the remnants of lamps once carried by lumbermen, their spirits continuing their nightly routines long after life has departed. Others see moving silhouettes near the creek beds or along deserted paths, figures whose presence is felt more than seen. The sensation is subtle, yet unmistakable, leaving visitors with a lingering sense of awe and unease. The forest trails themselves seem alive with memory. Every bend, fallen log, and moss-covered stump tells a story. And many visitors describe the feeling of being guided or watched along the path. Rustling leaves and snapping twigs punctuate the quiet, suggesting movement that is never confirmed. These experiences combine to create an atmosphere where the boundary between the natural world and the unseen becomes fluid and uncertain. Evenings in Humboldt redwoods bring a thickening mist that coils among the trunks and fills the valleys. Shadows stretch unnaturally, and shapes can appear to shift as one moves. Visitors report glimpses of figures disappearing into the fog, as if the forest itself conceals them from the ordinary world. The interplay of light and darkness, sound and silence, fosters an environment where the imagination is heightened, and the presence of past inhabitants is felt in ways both subtle and profound. Some claim to hear the distant hammering of axes, the voices of lumbermen calling to each other through the trees. Others experience inexplicable touches or breezes that seem to come from nowhere. Campsites long abandoned hold an eerie stillness, yet a sense of life remains in the air, as if the spirits of settlers continue to inhabit the spaces they once used. Every trail, every grove, and every clearing carries echoes of a bygone era, waiting for attentive visitors to sense the lingering presences. The Forster's rivers and streams enhance this haunting effect. Water reflects the dim light, creating illusions of movement and shimmering shapes. Shadows of trees stretch across the water. And the sounds of flowing creeks can be mistaken for footsteps or whispers. Visitors often describe feeling an otherworldly presence near these waterways. A connection to the laborers and travelers who once relied on these natural paths. The Forster's energy is alive in every ripple, every shadow, and every sound that echoes through the night. As night falls, the park becomes enveloped in silence, punctuated only by the occasional rustle of an animal or the distant whisper of wind through the redwoods. Figures seem to appear and disappear at the edge of vision, and ghostly lights drift between the trunks, impossible to approach. The forest maintains a delicate balance between serenity and unease, a place where history and the present coexist, and where spirits of the past quietly observe those who venture through their ancient home. Visitors leave Humboldt Redwood State Park carrying more than memories of towering trees and scenic beauty. They carry an impression of a living history, where faint voices, shadows, and lights hint at lives that once moved among the forest. The park is a testament to the enduring presence of those who came before, a reminder that even in the heart of nature, the past lingers. Every path, every grove, and every ancient redwood holds the possibility of an encounter with something unseen, leaving a lasting impression that resonates long after the forest fades from view. Angel Island rises from the waters of San Francisco Bay, a serene landscape of dense forests, winding trails, and rocky cliffs. By day, the island is alive with the chatter of visitors, the cries of seabirds, and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. Yet as dusk approaches, the atmosphere shifts, and the forests take on a quiet, haunting presence. Shadows deepen beneath the towering trees, and a heavy calm settles across the paths, creating a sense that the island holds secrets that extend far beyond its natural beauty. The history of Angel Island is layered and complex. It served as both a military post and an immigration station. And its past is embedded in the land itself. Some of those who passed through its gates, seeking new lives or called to serve, left more than memories. Visitors have reported feeling the weight of these lingering presences as they walk through the quiet forests, sensing eyes that follow them and a chill that seems to come from nowhere. Ghostly apparitions are a common theme among those who explore the island at night. Figures appear at the edge of vision, glimpsed through the trees or just beyond the curve of a trail. Some resemble immigrants from long ago, their movements hesitant, as though weighed down by the burdens of travel and uncertainty. These figures rarely approach directly, yet their presence leaves a lasting impression on those who encounter them. Whispers drift through the forest, soft and indistinct, carried on the wind in such a way that it is difficult to determine their origin. Some visitors describe these voices as faint conversations, fragments of words and names, while others hear single syllables repeated. The sounds are subtle, yet they create a powerful sense of connection to the island's past, as if the spirits of those who lived and worked here are attempting to make their presence known. Footsteps are another commonly reported phenomenon. In areas where the trails are empty, hikers and late-night visitors have felt the unmistakable sound of someone walking nearby. The steps move over rocks and fallen leaves, sometimes echoing in the quiet, other times muted by the dense undergrowth. When the observer turns to look, no one is visible. And the footsteps fade as mysteriously as they appeared. Sudden drops in temperature contribute to the eerie atmosphere. Even on warm evenings, pockets of cold air can sweep through the forest, leaving a sense of exposure and unease. Visitors often describe a shiver that travels along the spine, a warning that something is present beyond ordinary perception. These chills, combined with the whispers and shadowy figures, create an immersive experience that engages both the senses and the imagination. The layout of Angel Island enhances these experiences, producing subtle sounds that mingle with those of the unseen, making each step feel like a journey through time. Some visitors have described seeing doors and windows of abandoned buildings move on their own. The soft creak of hinges, the swinging of a shutter in a calm breeze, or the sudden opening of a gate can evoke the impression that someone unseen is passing through. These occurrences often coincide with other sensations, such as whispers or glimpses of movement, creating a layered experience that feels both historical and supernatural. Fog and mist rising from the bay can further distort perception. Shapes within the trees may appear larger or closer than they are, and distant figures can be magnified or obscured, giving the impression of presence where none should be. This interplay of light, shadow, and natural phenomena amplifies the haunting atmosphere of the forests, making each step through the island feel like a passage through both space and time. Despite these eerie experiences, Angel Island retains its beauty and allure. The sweeping views of the bay, the towering trees, and the quiet isolation of the trails create an environment that is both mesmerizing and contemplative. The forest encourages careful observation, slow steps, and a heightened awareness of surroundings, blending natural wonder with the thrill of encountering the unknown. Nightfall intensifies the sensation of being watched. Shadows deepen, the fog thickens, and the sounds of the bay are muted, except for the occasional echo of distant water. Apparitions, whispers, and footsteps become more pronounced, and the feeling of connection to the island's past strengthens. The presence of the unseen, whether spirits of immigrants, soldiers, or unknown forces, imbues the forest with a sense of living history that is tangible and affecting. Angel Island forests are a place where history and mystery coexist. Every trail, every structure, and every rustling tree carries the imprint of those who came before. The ghostly figures, sudden chills, and whispers all serve as reminders that the past lingers, shaping the present in subtle and sometimes startling ways. For those who wander these forests after dark, Angel Island offers not only beauty and solitude but also a window into the unseen world that has long inhabited this storied landscape. Visitors leave the forests with a sense of having stepped into a space where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet. The paths invite reflection, the shadows inspire curiosity, and the faint voices remind all who walk here that the island is more than it appears. The paths invite reflection, the shadows inspire curiosity, and the faint voices remind all who walk here that the island is more than it appears. The paths invite reflection, the shadows inspire curiosity, and the faint voices remind all who walk here that the island is more than it appears. Angel Island forests are both a natural sanctuary and a realm of lingering presence, a place where history, memory, and the unexplained converge to create an experience that is haunting, profound, and unforgettable. Angel Island forests are both a natural sanctuary and a realm of lingering presence, a place where history, memory, and the unexplained converge to create an experience that is haunting, profound, and unforgettable. Angel Island forests are both a natural sanctuary and a realm of lingering presence, a place where history, memory, and the unexplained converge to create an experience that is haunting, profound, and unforgettable. Angel Island forests are both a natural sanctuary and a realm of lingering presence, a place where history, memory, and the unexplained converge to create an experience that is haunting, profound, and unforgettable. The forests surrounding Mount Shasta in Siskiyou County are known for their breathtaking beauty. With towering pines, rushing streams, and mist that rises from the forest floor like a living veil. During the day, the sunlight filters through the branches, creating patterns of light and shadow that dance across the moss-covered ground. The air is crisp and filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. And the sound of birds and wildlife gives the forest a sense of serene vitality. Yet beneath this natural splendor lies an air of mystery. Mount Shasta itself has long been a place of legends, spiritual energy, and unexplained phenomena. Visitors to the surrounding forests often describe experiences that defy explanation. Shadowy figures appear at the edge of vision, vanishing when approached, and glowing lights seem to drift through the trees in ways that defy natural causes. The sensation of being watched is common, a subtle awareness that something unseen observes every movement along the trails. Many hikers report hearing sounds that cannot be traced to any known source. Footsteps echo along empty paths. Whispers float through the trees without a visible speaker. And the rustle of leaves sometimes suggests movement where none exists. These occurrences are often fleeting, subtle enough to provoke unease rather than outright fear, leaving visitors questioning whether what they have sensed was real or imagined. The forests themselves are dense and varied, with narrow trails winding through steep slopes and thick undergrowth. Moss hangs from branches like tattered curtains, and fallen logs create natural obstacles along the paths. In certain areas, the mist thickens and obscures visibility, turning the familiar landscape into a world of shadow and uncertainty. It is in these moments that many report their encounters with the unexplained, seeing shapes move in the fog or lights hovering where there should be none. Some accounts describe the forest as alive with presences from another time. Figures resembling explorers or travelers from decades past are occasionally glimpsed, standing silently between the trees or moving along the trail. These apparitions are not always threatening, but they create an atmosphere charged with history and mystery. A reminder that Mount Shasta has long drawn human curiosity and reverence. The interplay of light and shadow is a constant feature of the forest, influencing both perception and experience. The rising or setting sun casts long, shifting shadows that can suggest movement where there is none. While patches of dense canopy allow only slivers of light to reach the forest floor. In these half-lit spaces, visitors often feel an intensified sense of awareness. Noticing sounds and motions that might go unnoticed in brighter conditions. Many who venture into the Mount Shasta forests at night report heightened sensations of presence and energy. The forest becomes quieter, the usual daytime sounds fading into stillness. A sudden flicker of light or a movement in the darkness can provoke a profound sense of the unknown. The silence amplifies every footstep, every rustle, and every whisper of wind, creating an immersive experience that is both beautiful and unsettling. Glowing orbs are among the most frequently reported phenomena. These lights appear in clusters or alone, moving slowly through the trees. And sometimes hovering near trails or clearings. Witnesses describe them as ethereal and otherworldly, impossible to explain through ordinary means. The lights often vanish when approached, leaving only a lingering sense of presence and curiosity. The forests are not only a setting for visual phenomena but also for emotional and psychological experiences. Many visitors describe an uncanny calm, a feeling of being simultaneously observed and protected by something unseen. This duality creates a compelling tension, a mix of awe and apprehension that draws people deeper into the forest and into the mystery that surrounds Mount Shasta. Throughout the forest, ancient trees and rocky outcrops seem to hold memory and energy, standing as silent witnesses to the passage of time. The layering of history, legend, and unexplained occurrences creates an environment that is immersive and captivating. Every step along the trail feels like a journey not only through nature but through a landscape shaped by stories, sightings, and mysteries that continue to unfold. The passage of time is palpable, and the weight of history is crushing. Every step along the trail feels like a journey not only through nature but through a landscape shaped by stories, sightings, and mysteries that continue to unfold. Mount Shasta forests are a place where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural feel porous. The dense canopy, mist-shrouded trails, and quiet clearings combine to create an atmosphere ripe for reflection, exploration, and the unexplained. Visitors who experience these forests often leave with a sense that they have glimpsed something beyond ordinary perception. A fleeting connection to forces or presences that remain just out of reach. The allure of Mount Shasta is timeless, drawing hikers, seekers, and those fascinated by the paranormal. The forests offer a space where nature and mystery coexist, where glowing lights and shadowy figures remind visitors that the world is larger and more enigmatic than it often appears. Every trail, every clearing, and every mist-laden path carries the potential for an encounter that is both mesmerizing and deeply humbling. A reminder that Mount Shasta's forests are as alive with the unseen as they are with the beauty of the natural world. Exploring these trails requires both respect and attentiveness, as the forest holds both natural beauty and the lingering energy of countless experiences. The sights, sounds, and sensations combine to create an atmosphere that is unique, compelling, and often unforgettable. For those who enter the Mount Shasta forests, every step is a journey into a place where the mysterious and the magnificent coexist, leaving visitors with memories that linger long after the trail ends. The Gold Country forests of the Sierra Nevada stretch across rugged terrain where towering pines and oaks rise above narrow, winding trails. These woods carry the weight of history, a place where fortune seekers once ventured in search of gold and where many found only hardship, danger, and sometimes death. Among the rustling leaves and whispering winds, stories of those who perished in these forests linger, woven into the very fabric of the land. Abandoned mining trails cut through the dense foliage, their paths overgrown yet still discernible. Travelers often report a sensation of being watched as they navigate the old routes. Shadowy figures appear in the corners of vision, vanishing when approached, leaving only a sense of unease. These apparitions are said to be the spirits of miners who never left, wandering in search of the wealth that eluded them in life. The forest is alive with sound, yet many of these sounds seem unexplainable. Branches snap without wind. Footsteps echo along empty trails, and whispers drift through the trees as if carried by the spirits themselves. Visitors describe hearing names called softly, fleeting conversations, or the distant clang of pickaxes striking rock long after the mining camps were abandoned. Some hikers encounter sudden cold drafts that chill the skin despite warm daylight. These unexpected drops in temperature often coincide with glimpses of figures dressed in period clothing, standing silently near old foundations or peering from behind trees. The forest seems to respond to the presence of those who enter, heightening the senses and creating an atmosphere where the ordinary becomes uncanny. The terrain of the Sierra Nevada adds to the forest's mystique. Steep hills, hidden ravines, and rocky outcrops create natural shadows and corridors, where light struggles to penetrate. Sunlight filtering through the canopy casts patterns that appear almost spectral, merging with the shapes of imagined figures. Every step along the trail feels like crossing into a landscape where past and present intermingle. At dusk, the forest takes on an entirely different character. The fading light deepens shadows and blurs the edges of the trees. Sounds carry farther and appear closer than they are. While the faint glow of the setting sun turns mist and dew into shapes that seem to move with purpose. Visitors report seeing lantern-like lights drifting along old paths. Sometimes floating above the ground as if held by unseen hands. The history of the gold rush is embedded in the land. Rusted tools, collapsed structures, and old equipment scatter the forest floor. Reminders of ambition and struggle. These remnants of the past seem to attract attention, drawing the eyes and the imagination of those who pass by. Many believe that the lingering energy of miners and lost travelers manifests through these objects, creating an atmosphere charged with both history and the unexplained. Stories of vanished prospectors and wandering spirits abound. Some recount meeting figures on the trail who disappear when called, leaving behind only the faint sound of footsteps retreating into the woods. Others speak of voices in the wind, murmuring warnings or repeating phrases in languages from another era. The forest holds these echoes as if time itself has left a residue that cannot be erased. Even in daylight, the gold country forests evoke a sense of awe and caution. The interplay of sunlight and shadow, the thick underbrush, and the towering trees all contribute to a feeling that the forest is alive, watching, and remembering. Each trail offers a unique encounter, a place where imagination and reality blur, and where the presence of the past is never far away. As night descends, the forest transforms again. Darkness brings stillness, broken only by the distant calls of nocturnal creatures or the occasional rustle of unseen movement. The trails seem endless, and the shadows deepen into shapes that defy simple explanation. Those who venture at this hour speak of fleeting figures, lights among the trees, and a sensation of being followed even when alone. The gold country forests remain a testament to human ambition and the mysteries that linger in nature. The combination of historical weight, natural beauty, and unexplained phenomena makes this forest a place of fascination and unease, where every visitor is left with memories that linger long after they leave. For those who return, the forests offer new encounters and perspectives. Each visit reveals different patterns of shadow, light, and sound, reminding travelers that the land holds secrets that are never fully revealed. The Sierra Nevada forests remain a haunting reminder of the past, and a living landscape where history, nature, and the unexplained coexist, creating an atmosphere both beautiful and unsettling. Big Basin Redwood State Park rises from the hills of Santa Cruz County, a sanctuary of towering redwoods and dense undergrowth. Sunlight struggles to pierce the thick canopy, casting elongated shadows across the forest floor and giving the trees an almost otherworldly presence. By day, the park is alive with the sounds of birds, rustling leaves, and distant streams, yet as twilight approaches, the forest shifts into a realm that feels both timeless and mysterious. The forest shifts into a realm that feels both timeless and mysterious. The park has long been a place where the past lingers. Settlers, travelers, and early lumber workers once moved through these forests, leaving behind traces of their lives. Some say these spirits remain, wandering the trails and campgrounds. Their presence subtle but undeniable. Visitors often report the sensation of being watched. A quiet awareness that unseen eyes follow their every step. Shadows twist and move at the edge of vision, and strange noises echo along deserted paths, creating an atmosphere heavy with history and unseen forces. Hikers describe sudden drops in temperature that cannot be explained. A gentle breeze can turn into a cold gust, brushing the skin as if fingers unseen were touching the living. Faint voices sometimes carry through the trees, soft and elusive, as though someone is calling from a distance just beyond hearing. Shadows appear to shift when one looks away, disappearing when approached yet leaving a lingering impression. The forest seems to have a memory, holding on to fragments of those who once walked its trails. Along the deeper trails, ghostly figures are occasionally glimpsed among the redwoods. They appear in the periphery, fleeting and insubstantial, vanishing when fully observed. Campgrounds and clearings often hold a strange energy, a feeling that life continues in ways not visible. Footsteps echo across empty paths, and some visitors report hearing conversations or laughter where no one is present. These experiences create an undeniable tension, a mixture of awe and unease that deepens the sense of mystery within the park. Old logging areas and abandoned cabins contribute to the park's haunted reputation. The remnants of past settlements, partially reclaimed by nature, suggest lives lived in quiet hardship and labor. Ghostly lights are sometimes reported in these locations, flickering between the trees or hovering near the forest floor. Shapes move with intention, appearing to observe the living while remaining elusive. Streams and creeks add to the ethereal quality of the park, reflecting faint glimmers of light and amplifying the sensation of unseen movement. Visitors often describe a sense of being guided along certain trails. The forest feels alive in ways that transcend the natural, every crack of a branch and rustle of leaves suggesting presence beyond the ordinary. Shadows shift with subtle purpose, and corners of vision can reveal figures that seem more than mere imagination. The interplay between light and darkness, sound and silence, creates a heightened awareness that makes the forest feel both protective and watchful. As night falls, the park transforms completely. Moonlight filtering through the canopy casts ghostly silhouettes across the undergrowth. Mist rises from the valleys, curling around tree trunks and shrouding paths in an almost tangible veil. The forest is quiet yet full of subtle motion, shadows moving where no living creature is seen. Faint whispers can be heard carried by the wind, brushing against ears and leaving a lingering sense of presence. Trails that were familiar by day feel strange and unfamiliar, each step resonating with the weight of history and memory. The deeper into Big Basin one ventures, the more vivid these experiences become. Flickering lights between the trees suggest the lingering energy of those who walked the forest long ago. Unexplained movements and vanishing shapes provoke both curiosity and caution. Every clearing, every moss-covered log, and every twisted root seems imbued with stories from the past. Visitors often leave the park with more than memories of the towering redwoods, they carry impressions of a world where the natural and the supernatural intertwine. Streams and waterfalls contribute to the otherworldly atmosphere. Water mirrors the dim light and the shadows of trees, sometimes creating illusions of movement where none exists. The sounds of flowing water can mimic footsteps or whispers, enhancing the impression of an active presence. Even in the quietest moments, the forest seems to hold a pulse, a rhythm that echoes both life and memory, suggesting that the spirits of past visitors continue to inhabit this ancient land. The park's campgrounds, especially in the late hours, are places where encounters are most often reported. Empty sites may seem to carry a lingering energy, and some visitors feel sudden chills or fleeting touches. The forest appears to respond to the living, as if aware of their presence and observing their movements. Faint figures may appear between the trees or vanish behind the underbrush, creating moments that are difficult to forget. These experiences leave a lasting impression, blending natural beauty with the haunting presence of history. Big Basin Redwood State Park is more than a forest of giant trees. The faint voices, vanishing shadows, sudden chills, and subtle movements all contribute to an atmosphere that is both enchanting and mysterious. Visitors leave carrying a sense of connection to something greater, a recognition that the forest holds the stories of those who walked before and perhaps continues to walk alongside those who venture within. Each path and trail is alive with history, presence, and the quiet whisper of spirits who have never truly left. The Los Angeles National Forest stretches across hundreds of miles of rugged terrain, dense woodland, and winding trails. By day, it is a sanctuary of sun-dappled paths, chirping birds, and rustling leaves. Yet as the sun begins to dip behind the mountains and shadows lengthen across the forest floor, the atmosphere changes. A quiet unease settles over the paths, and a sense of unseen presence lingers in the air. The forest has long been known for its mysterious occurrences. Stories abound of hikers who vanished without a trace in remote areas, leaving behind only backpacks or footprints that abruptly stop. Locals and visitors alike have reported strange experiences along the trails, where the normal sounds of wildlife are interrupted by sudden, unexplainable noises. Footsteps echo where no one walks, twigs snap under invisible weight, and the wind carries whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Shadowy figures are among the most commonly reported phenomena. They appear just at the edge of vision, glimpsed between trees or over ridges, often vanishing when approached. Some are fleeting and indistinct, while others seem almost human in form, moving deliberately along trails that are otherwise empty. Witnesses describe a sensation of being watched, a weight on their shoulders, and the hair-raising impression that they are not alone in the wilderness. The forest's natural features contribute to the eerie feeling. Thick undergrowth conceals much of what lies beyond, and the changing terrain can distort sounds and movements. Even familiar paths can feel unfamiliar. As the interplay of light, shadow, and sound creates a landscape where perception is constantly challenged. Visitors have described sudden drops in temperature as they navigate certain areas. On warm days, these pockets of cold air are unexpected and chilling, often accompanied by the subtle sensation of being followed. The combination of temperature shifts, shadowy movements, and unexplained sounds amplifies the forest's reputation as a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary intersect. Whispers are frequently reported along the trails. Some describe them as faint fragments of conversation. Others as single words or names carried on the wind. These sounds seem to emerge from the trees, rocks, and canyons. Impossible to locate yet impossible to ignore. They create an intimate and unsettling connection to the forest, as if the spirits of the lost are trying to communicate with the living. The forest's isolation enhances the sense of unease. Many trails wind deep into the wilderness, far from roads, cell service, or other hikers. In these areas, the usual signs of human presence disappear, leaving only the natural sounds of the forest and the occasional unexplained phenomena. The quiet is often broken by sudden noises. Rocks falling, branches snapping, or distant voices that seem to have no source, heightening the feeling that the forest itself holds secrets and memories. Some hikers have encountered objects moved or displaced, as though invisible hands have rearranged them. Backpacks, water bottles, or even small markers along trails are found in different locations from where they were left. These subtle alterations, combined with shadowy figures and chilling sounds, create an environment that is immersive and intensely mysterious. Fog and mist occasionally roll through the forest, especially in higher elevations. These veils of moisture obscure paths and bend light, causing shapes and movements to appear larger, closer, or more threatening than they truly are. Figures glimpsed through the fog may vanish when approached, leaving only the memory of their presence. The interplay of mist, shadow, and the natural sounds of the forest contributes to an atmosphere that is both beautiful and haunting. Despite its eerie reputation, the Los Angeles National Forest remains a place of remarkable natural beauty. Towering trees, rocky ridges, and sweeping vistas provide a sense of scale and solitude. The forest encourages reflection, exploration, and awareness of the environment, while simultaneously offering an experience that is thrilling and slightly unnerving. The forest encourages reflection, exploration, and awareness of the environment, while simultaneously offering an experience that is thrilling and slightly unnerving. At night, the forest transforms. Trails that were familiar by day become shadowed corridors. The usual nocturnal sounds of wildlife mix with faint footsteps, whispers, and the occasional glimpse of a shadow moving between trees. Those who venture into these areas often feel the presence of the missing, a lingering echo of those who disappeared in these remote spaces. The sensation of being observed, coupled with the unexpected noises and fleeting figures, creates a deeply immersive experience. The Los Angeles National Forest is a place where the natural world and the supernatural seem to coexist. Every trail, ridge, and clearing carries the memory of those who have traversed it, as well as those who never returned. The experiences of shadowy figures, whispers, and sudden chills serve as reminders that the forest is more than a collection of trees and rocks. It is a living, breathing space imbued with history, mystery, and lingering presence. Its beauty and its secrets. The shadows inspire curiosity. That some aspects of the world remain beyond comprehension. A sanctuary and a realm of the unknown. To create an unforgettable experience. Mount Diablo State Park in Contra Costa County rises majestically above the surrounding valleys. Its peaks and ridges offering sweeping views of the Bay Area. By day, the park is alive with hikers, cyclists, and nature enthusiasts exploring its trails, meadows, and wooded slopes. The air is fresh with the scent of pine, oak, and wildflowers, and the distant sound of birds adds a sense of life to the expansive landscape. Yet as evening approaches and the sun dips below the horizon, the atmosphere shifts. The hills take on a quiet stillness, shadows stretch across the trails. And the fading light creates pockets of darkness among the trees. It is during these hours that many visitors report sensations that defy ordinary explanation. Some describe feeling invisible touches along the shoulders or arms, as if unseen presences are walking silently beside them. Others notice fleeting figures at the edge of vision, vanishing when directly observed. The park's history is rich and layered, contributing to its mysterious aura. Long before settlers arrived, Native American tribes called these lands home, living in harmony with the hills, valleys, and streams. Later, settlers arrived and established homesteads and communities, leaving behind stories of hardship, triumph, and loss. It is these overlapping histories that seem to imbue the park with a sense of the past remaining present. Hikers along narrow trails have reported sudden chills even on warm nights. A coldness that seems to pass through rather than around them. The sound of footsteps on the dirt path sometimes echoes when no one is near. And faint rustling in the underbrush suggests movement where none should be. These experiences are often fleeting, subtle, and easily dismissed. Yet their consistency has led many to believe in the lingering presence of spirits who once walked these hills. Certain areas of the park hold particular notoriety among those who follow tales of the unexplained. Ridge lines and secluded clearings are said to be points where the veil between the natural world and the unseen feels thinner. Visitors report shapes that appear human yet indistinct, standing silently among the trees or moving along trails before disappearing into the darkness. The combination of natural beauty and historical depth seems to heighten awareness, making each rustle of leaves or distant cry of a bird feel charged with meaning. The experience of Mount Diablo at night is as much emotional as it is visual. Many describe a profound sense of presence, a feeling of being observed or accompanied by something unseen. It is not always threatening, some perceive it as watchful or protective, a connection to the land and its past inhabitants. The interplay of fear, curiosity, and awe creates a compelling atmosphere that draws explorers deeper into the park's hidden corners. The topography itself amplifies the sense of mystery. Steep hills, rocky outcroppings, and dense groves create natural shadows. And echoing spaces where sound travels strangely. A footstep on one trail may resonate across a clearing, magnified by the terrain, giving the impression of multiple presences. Faint lights, whether from distant settlements or natural phenomena, can appear to float along ridges or trails, further enhancing the sense of otherworldliness. Stories passed down by locals and hikers tell of encounters that cannot be easily explained. Figures dressed in traditional clothing of Native Americans or settlers have been glimpsed, standing silently on ridges or vanishing into the forest when approached. Whispers are heard along otherwise silent trails, carrying no identifiable source yet seeming to respond to those who walk alone. These tales, while anecdotal, contribute to the park's reputation as a place where the past remains alive in subtle, haunting ways. The experience of visiting Mount Diablo after dark is deeply immersive. The winding trails, the interplay of light and shadow, the whisper of wind through the trees, and the distant calls of nocturnal wildlife combine to create a heightened awareness. Every sound and movement feels significant, and the mind becomes attuned to the unseen. It is in this environment that many encounters with the unexplained occur. Subtle yet unforgettable, leaving an impression that endures long after the forest returns to daylight. Mount Diablo State Park is a place of both natural majesty and mysterious energy. The rolling hills, forested slopes, and secluded ridges offer a space where history, legend, and the unexplained converge. Visitors often find themselves questioning the boundaries of the natural world, sensing a connection to those who walked the land long before and the forces that may linger still. Each step along the trails is a journey through both time and place, an invitation to explore the beauty of the park while remaining aware of the stories that have shaped it. Whether approached with curiosity, reverence, or cautious skepticism, the combination of scenic vistas, historical resonance, and reports of the paranormal creates an atmosphere both compelling and enigmatic. For those who wander its paths at night, the hills hold the presence of the past and the thrill of the unknown, offering encounters that are at once subtle, profound, and unforgettable. Mount Diablo State Park reminds us that some landscapes are more than their physical form. The hills and valleys carry echoes of lives long gone, their energy woven into the very soil and trees. To walk these trails is to step into a living tapestry of history, mystery, and the unseen, where each shadow, sound, and sensation may hold a story waiting to be discovered. The Point Reyes forests in Marin County stretch along the rugged coast, where towering trees and thick underbrush meet the persistent fog rolling in from the Pacific. This land, both beautiful and isolated, has long been a haven for wildlife, explorers, and those seeking solitude. Yet beneath its natural splendor, whispers of the unexplained echo through the trees, carried on the wind and hidden within the mist. Campers and hikers often speak of a feeling that the forest watches them. A feeling that the forest watches them, a presence felt in sudden chills, or the faint rustle of branches where no animal should be. Figures have been reported near old ranches, moving silently between the fog-draped trees. These apparitions vanish when approached, leaving only the sense of having crossed paths with something not entirely of this world. The coastal fog plays a role in shaping the forest's eerie character. Shadows stretch and distort, forming figures that appear to linger just beyond sight. Visitors describe seeing silhouettes along ridgelines, standing motionless, only to disappear when examined more closely. The history of the area adds depth to its haunting nature. Old ranches dot the landscape, abandoned homesteads where families once lived and worked. The remnants of wooden fences, rusted tools, and collapsed barns serve as markers of past lives. Some believe the spirits of those who once called this land home remain, wandering the foggy trails, revisiting the places they knew and loved. Sounds are often distorted in the forests. The wind carries whispers through the branches, faint conversations that seem to come from nowhere. Footsteps are heard on trails that have long been empty, echoing off trees and rocky outcroppings. Visitors report hearing the creak of gates or the clatter of a tool falling, even when no one is nearby. The forest seems to communicate in subtle ways, hinting at stories that are never fully revealed. As daylight fades, the forests take on a different character. Trails once familiar become strange and winding, And every sound carries a weight of uncertainty. Shadows lengthen, and fleeting glimpses of figures are reported near tree lines, sometimes pausing as if to observe those who pass. The environment itself becomes a participant in the haunting, shaping perception and heightening tension. Campers recount experiences that linger in memory long after leaving. Lights appear among the trees, shifting and fading as if moving with intention. Some speak of hearing names called softly, or the low murmur of conversations in a language or tone that feels distant and unreachable. Others describe sudden cold spots, localized and intense, experienced on warm evenings or clear nights. These occurrences suggest a presence intertwined with the land, one that is felt more than seen. The trails near old ranches are often the sites of the most compelling encounters. Figures dressed in old-fashioned clothing have been reported, standing silently by fences or walking across fields, only to vanish when approached. The combination of human history and natural isolation creates a setting ripe for the unexplained. Visitors who linger long enough speak of a sense of continuity, as if the land itself holds memories of those who came before. Even during clear days, the interplay of sunlight and fog can create illusions. Shadows form shapes that suggest movement, while patterns of light and dark mimic figures standing still. These visual phenomena, combined with the sounds of the forest and the lingering sense of presence, create a landscape that is immersive and profoundly unsettling. The Point Reyes forests offer an experience where nature and history intersect with the inexplicable. As night falls, the forest becomes quieter, but the sense of being observed can intensify, or glimpses of lights that cannot be explained, reinforcing the reputation of these forests as a place and the unseen walks alongside the living. The Point Reyes forests remain a landscape of beauty, solitude, and mystery. Ghostly sightings, unexplained sounds, and the eerie atmosphere of fog and shadow make it a place of fascination for explorers and storytellers alike. The combination of natural wonder, historical remnants, and unexplained phenomena ensures that every visitor leaves with stories that linger. A feeling that the forest is alive with memory and presence, waiting silently for the next traveler to enter its mist-shrouded paths. For those who venture into this landscape, the experience is both captivating and unsettling. Each trail, clearing, and old ranch holds the potential for encounters that defy explanation. The Point Reyes forests are a testament to the enduring power of nature and history, a place where the boundaries between the seen and unseen blur, leaving an impression that endures long after the journey ends. Casper Headlands Forest rises along the rugged Mendocino coastline, a dense expanse of towering pines and fog-laden trails. The forest hugs the cliffs, where waves crash relentlessly against jagged rocks below, creating a constant, distant roar. During the day, the sunlight filters through the canopy in shafts of gold, illuminating moss-covered trunks and the forest floor blanketed in fallen needles. Yet as evening falls, the forest transforms, shifting into a place of shadow and subtle menace, where the stories of shipwreck survivors and mysterious disappearances linger like an unspoken presence. Those who wander the forest after dusk speak of sudden chills that cut through even the thickest layers of clothing. The wind seems to carry voices, faint at first, then growing in clarity. Some hear laughter, eerie and hollow, echoing through the trees, bouncing from trunk to trunk as though the forest itself is alive with memory. Shadows seem to move at the edge of vision, gliding silently between the pines, vanishing when observed directly, leaving a lingering sense of being followed. The cliffs and shoreline below the forest hold a tragic history. Shipwrecks claimed many lives over the centuries, and it is said that some souls never left, wandering the trails above the ocean in search of safety or closure. Visitors have reported glimpses of figures standing at the edge of the cliffs, silhouetted against the mist and the dark waters. Some vanish in an instant, while others fade slowly, leaving behind a deep, eerie stillness. The cries of those lost at sea seem to mingle with the sounds of the forest. Mingle with the sounds of the forest, creating an unsettling harmony that lingers in the ears of hikers and campers. Inside the forest, the undergrowth is thick, the trails narrow and winding. Each step seems amplified, crunching against the carpet of needles and leaves. The fog often rolls in from the coast, weaving between the trees and obscuring sight lines, making familiar paths feel alien. The shadows grow longer and darker. Faint movements are glimpsed in peripheral vision. A fallen branch may appear to shift as if brushed aside by unseen hands. The atmosphere thickens with a sense of presence, heavy yet intangible. Visitors often describe a feeling of being watched. It is subtle at first, a prickling at the back of the neck, a pressure on the shoulders, then growing into a certainty that unseen eyes follow every movement. Cold drafts snake along the paths, moving against the wind, brushing past skin and clothing, and leaving an inexplicable sense of urgency. Some hikers have reported hearing their names called softly, carried on the breeze, only to find the forest empty when they turn. The feeling is inescapable, as though the forest itself remembers every person who has ever walked within its bounds. The fog plays tricks on perception, and the trees themselves seem to shift imperceptibly when not watched directly. Shapes emerge and disappear, some humanoid, others more ambiguous, leaving imagination to fill in the gaps. Campfires flicker with strange shadows, and lanterns illuminate brief glimpses of figures standing silently just beyond the circle of light. Even during daylight, some trails appear different, paths twisting unexpectedly, or shadows lingering unnaturally long. The forest holds an awareness that seems almost sentient, an echo of the countless souls who vanished along this treacherous coast. Sounds are amplified in the dense forest. The call of a distant bird can seem like a warning, the snapping of a twig a deliberate signal. Footsteps echo where no one walks, and streams and waterfalls produce patterns that mimic voices. Some visitors report the sensation of being brushed by invisible fingers, an inexplicable pressure, or the subtle tug of an unseen presence guiding or warning them. The forest maintains an atmosphere that is simultaneously enchanting and unnerving, drawing the living into a narrative written by the past and the spirits that linger. The cliffs and coastal bluffs contribute to the haunting sense of danger. Waves pound relentlessly against rocks, creating sprays of salt and mist that drift into the forest, mingling with fog and moisture. At night, lights are sometimes seen along the shoreline, ghostly and untraceable, as if the spirits of lost sailors are retracing their final journey. Campers and hikers have reported seeing lanterns swinging in the fog, silhouettes moving along the trails, and fleeting figures watching silently from the trees. These experiences are fleeting yet deeply affecting, leaving impressions that persist long after the forest is left behind. Despite the chilling reports, Casper Headland's forest holds an undeniable beauty. Towering pines, rugged cliffs, and the rhythmic crash of the Pacific create a landscape both haunting and mesmerizing. Yet beneath this beauty lies the history of loss and the sense of presence that haunts the place. Each visitor becomes part of a larger story, a witness to the interplay of nature and the supernatural. Where shadows move, voices linger, and the past refuses to be forgotten. The forest does not reveal all its secrets at once. Some experience nothing at all, while others encounter the inexplicable repeatedly. Trails twist, fog deepens, and shadows shift, creating a living maze of memory and presence. Even in moments of quiet, the knowledge remains that this forest has seen tragedy, survival, and the unexplained. Its atmosphere is one of quiet vigilance, where the spirits of shipwreck survivors and those who vanished continue to roam, observed only by those willing to see and feel the forest's hidden depths. Observed only by those willing to see and feel the forest's hidden depths. Casper Headland's forest is more than a collection of trees and trails. Every gust of wind, every rustle of leaves, and every flicker of shadow carries a story. Visitors leave with more than impressions of a rugged coastline and towering forest. They leave with the awareness of the unseen. The lingering presence of lives interrupted. And the haunting realization that some stories do not end, even when the living walk away. El Dorado National Forest stretches across the rugged slopes of the Sierra Nevada, a vast expanse of pine and fir, winding rivers, and remote trails that lead into the heart of the mountains. By day, it is a haven for hikers, campers, and adventurers drawn to its towering trees and sparkling streams. But as the sun sinks behind the peaks and shadows creep across the forest floor, the atmosphere shifts. A sense of the past lingers here, and stories of the forest's haunted history emerge from the silence. The forest is steeped in the legacy of miners, settlers, and travelers who once braved its remote paths. Gold seekers carved trails and dug tunnels in search of fortune, while pioneers and homesteaders navigated the rugged terrain to establish homes in the wilderness. Not all of them returned. Tales of disappearances and tragic accidents have persisted for generations, leaving behind a forest that holds echoes of the past. Visitors have reported ghostly lights dancing between the trees, faint and unsteady, as if illuminating paths long forgotten. Some claim to see flickering lanterns drifting along old mining trails, or glimpses of figures standing near abandoned cabins and ruins. These apparitions appear just at the edge of vision, and vanish when approached, leaving a lingering sense of mystery and unease. Phantom footsteps are another common phenomenon. Hikers describe the sound of boots crunching on leaves or gravel when no one is around, and the sudden impression of being followed along isolated trails. The forest amplifies every sound, carrying whispers and distant echoes in ways that can be both enchanting and unsettling. Some have felt invisible hands brush against them, a cold presence that vanishes as quickly as it arrives. The terrain itself contributes to the haunting atmosphere. Narrow paths wind between steep ridges and rocky outcrops, creating pockets of shadow and silence. Thick undergrowth and dense trees conceal much of the forest, allowing shapes and movements to appear suddenly, then disappear just as quickly. Even in daylight, the interplay of light and shadow can create illusions that play with the mind, making the forest feel alive with unseen activity. Nightfall brings a different experience. Trails that seemed familiar during the day become dark corridors, and the ordinary sounds of wildlife are punctuated by unexplained noises. Rocks tumble without cause, branches snap under invisible weight, and distant calls echo where no animal is present. Some visitors report hearing faint voices calling names or speaking in languages that hint at the miners and settlers of long ago. Abandoned mining equipment and ruins of cabins serve as a tangible link to the forest's past. Visitors often find old tools, rusted lanterns, and remnants of campsites. Some have seen these objects moved or disturbed in ways that suggest unseen activity. The sense of history here is tangible, but it carries with it a feeling of presence, as if those who once lived and worked in these mountains still linger in the shadows. Fog and mist frequently roll through the higher elevations, obscuring trails and bending light. Within this shifting veil, shapes can appear closer, larger, or more defined than they truly are. Figures glimpsed through the fog often vanish when approached, leaving only a memory and a sense of wonder tinged with fear. The mist transforms the forest into a place of both beauty and eerie anticipation. El Dorado National Forest has earned a reputation as a place where the natural and supernatural coexist. The mountains and valleys hold the history of human endeavor and tragedy, and that history is felt in subtle ways by those who traverse the trails. Shadowy figures, ghostly lights, and the sensation of being watched remind visitors that this forest is more than just wilderness. It is a space where the past remains present, and the unknown lingers just beyond perception. Despite its haunting reputation, the forest continues to draw people who are captivated by both its beauty and its mysteries. Towering trees, rushing streams, and panoramic vistas provide awe-inspiring scenery, while the unexplained phenomena encourage reflection and curiosity. Every trail, every ridge, and every hidden glade seems imbued with a story. A memory of those who came before and those who never returned. The forest teaches a delicate balance between respect and exploration. Hikers and campers are advised to remain aware of their surroundings, to tread carefully along remote paths, and to honor the history that permeates the land. Those who venture into the forest at night, or along the abandoned trails of the miners, often emerge with stories of fleeting lights, distant footsteps, and cold chills that defy explanation. El Dorado National Forest remains a place of mystery, beauty, and history. Its remote trails and hidden corners offer glimpses into the lives of miners, settlers, and travelers long gone. The ghostly lights, whispers, and shadowed figures create a sense of wonder and unease that persists long after leaving. For those who explore its depths, the forest is a living archive of the past, a haunting reminder that some spirits never truly fade, and that the Sierra Nevada holds secrets waiting to be discovered by those willing to seek them. California's forests hold more than natural beauty. They are portals to the unknown, homes for spirits that never left, and witnesses to tragedies long past. Haunted redwoods, mysterious trails, and fog-laden hills remind us that the unseen can linger, watching, whispering, and following the brave who dare to enter. If you step into these haunted forests at night, be prepared to encounter the spirits of the past, feel eyes on you from the shadows, and hear whispers that chill your very soul. Would you dare to venture into one of California's haunted forests tonight and face the secrets that hide beneath the trees?